Hey Channel Insiders, welcome back to Channel Insider Partner POV. I'm your host, Katie Bavoso, and my guest today is Tim Brooks, Managing Director of Data Analytics and AI at Worldwide Technology. The global solution provider is currently working with technology vendor and chip giant NVIDIA to equip enterprise developers with new NVIDIA NIM AI Agent Blueprints to jumpstart the creation of AI applications. So, what can you do with these blueprints? Who should be building off of them? And what does WWT bring to the table as a partner? Let's get into it. Welcome, Tim. It's great to see you.
Hi, Katie. Great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is a really exciting subject because obviously when we talk about AI, everybody has something to say, but I really view you as WWT's godfather of AI in this subject. So I think I'm talking to the right man when it comes to anything AI-based. But specifically today, we're talking about WWT working with NVIDIA to launch the NIM Agent Blueprints for those AI applications that developers will create. First of all, tell me a little bit about what those are. I'd like to hear in your own words, what exactly are these blueprints?
Sure. Well, it's an important question. So let's start at the beginning. NIM stands for NIM, stands for NVIDIA Inference Microservices. These are containerized. So containerized means easier to plug and play aspects of AI that work together in order to solve domains of problems. So for example, NVIDIA, everyone knows them as a large chip manufacturer of GPUs, has actually pivoted its business model. So it does more than just chips. NVIDIA now is, you can think of them as an AI platform company. They've really organized an ecosystem. An important part of that is software. And that software runs AI for organizations to help them scale and simplify how AI works together. That's the part for agents. So AI and agents, what is an agent? It's where we delegate authority or actions. In this case, NVIDIA has put together what they call NIM AI Agent Blueprints. So this is the working model, the architecture, the containers, the microservices that help AI in certain domains. So the first three that were released by NVIDIA, and Worldwide was one of the very first organizations to get our hands on it, were around PDFs. We all use PDFs, and doing PDF analysis. Another one was around their digital human, which many have experienced, which they're calling James. And of course, the digital human can be adapted for any environment or put anyone in it. It could become Katie, for example, or Tim, in terms of what it's used for and how it's used. And it's an actual physical representation of a human. It's digital, of course. It doesn't really exist, but it answers questions about a certain domain. And it's very, very useful. WWT has already put one of those into action, shown it to customers, and we did that within 3 weeks of getting those blueprints. So we're very excited about that. And then the third one they've released is for molecular research. And this is this suite of products they have called BioNeMo. And without getting too technical, what it means is those people that are doing molecular research, typically pharma companies or independent companies affiliated with pharmas, are busy reorganizing molecules, looking for the right combination to solve real world human or veterinary problems that will help, everybody. And that's a very dense, deep learning sort of thing that typically is very complex and very unique. What NVIDIA is doing with this, and they intend to roll out more, my understanding is monthly, is really adapting these microservices into generative AI models. Some of them are models that NVIDIA have built. Some of them are models that are open models that NVIDIA has adapted in order to create these AI agent blueprints. So think of it as a sort of a user manual working product that you can plug into your domain. You can customize microservices and containers, help you customize it to your needs, essentially helping make AI more scalable and easier for enterprises.
I brought up a little story before we started recording today about James, the NVIDIA digital human, that I went and asked him, hey, do I pronounce it NIM or NIM? Just specifically, what would you say? And he goes, it's pronounced NIM, not NIM. And just the intelligence level of what I got a response as was so startling to me. So I can say for sure, James is very polite. He didn't make me feel bad about the mispronunciation. But just thinking about that level of intelligence that's offered and the detail that James has just in his features and his expressions. Thinking about how it only took you about 3 weeks to launch a similar digital human, how long would that have taken you if these AI agents didn't exist yet?
Oh boy, full court press, a number of different people working on it, including software engineers, data science, data engineers, pipelines, putting all that together, would have been on the order of months in the previous paradigm. And then, of course, there would have been a testing phase. There's more reliability and thus scalability in this example. So ours, we customized and we took from James to make James into Ellie. And Ellie is a female representation, but we cobbled together different sort of ethnicities into Ellie. And thus Ellie is all things to all people digitally and is very, very helpful. And we pointed Ellie at a series of trusted source documents. And this is through something called Retrieval Augmented Generation, called RAG. RAG entered the vocabulary about a year ago. And what that is a means of a large language model, LLM, to access trusted documents so it doesn't hallucinate. And it's only answering questions that it's been pointed toward and using its linguistic and visual capabilities with almost no latency. I think that was your experience with James, almost no latency. There was no delay in the movement of the lips, the eye contact, all of that through that. We did the same with Ellie. But Ellie answered questions out of documents that we know to be true, that we use every day. So, for example, if we had asked Ellie a question about, answer the, who won the War of 1812, it wouldn't have answered at all. It would have said, I'm sorry, that's not in my domain. That's not something I can answer. But it's pointed at those documents that we know to be true. And this is a way for enterprises to resolve the hallucination problem. It's a way for them to de-risk the sort of outputs, call it brand reputational risk, that a customer-facing application would have. So as a digital human, most of the use cases for something like James, or in our case, the customization of it to Ellie, is around answering questions about our product and services so that a customer can more easily answer their question. The old model would have been, let's point them toward an FAQ. Well, an FAQ doesn't answer all of my questions. It answers the questions that most often come up. In this open-ended model, an LLM uses its ability to go into the source documents. They could be engineering documents. They could be customer service documents. They could be documents about pricing, and only retrieve those results which it's been pointed toward. And this really changes the use of generative AI for many organizations that have been risk averse for the right reasons. It now gives them a safer way to use AI.
This sounds like a souped up version of chatbots to me. Would the intention be to replace something of that level to give a more human experience to the users?
I think it's definitely a yes, but it's a more human experience. So if we think about chatbots, traditionally they have had rules-based. So they're pre-populated with certain answers in the old model, and they are only accessing that information. And if it goes off of that, it's like, we must escalate you to a human, or sorry, I can't answer your question. And most of our experience with chatbots have also been very much type in and you get another text answer. And I've spoken to Ellie both in English and in Spanish. And Ellie recognized, without me saying I'm going to speak in Spanish, it recognized the Spanish and answered me back in Spanish. So this is all way better than a chatbot. This recognizes what you're speaking and responds back. This is all embedded in the NIM AI Agent Blueprint. So in other words, it's simplifying and taking away a lot of the complexity of putting together, if you think about it, which data should I access? What does that data pipeline look like? What language do I answer in? What am I answering? What is the question? What is the reasoning between synthesizing multiple documents in my source data and spitting that back out to a human? That's far superior to a chatbot. Now, its initial use case may replace or augment the way chatbots are used, but I do think that it really has far more powerful uses than just the chatbot. Example, you're going to go to a drive-in quick service restaurant of some type. And as you approach the menu, you just simply, look at the menu and then you ask and it responds back. Well, you may not replace all of your human order takers that way, but it certainly could augment the service and how your customers are interacting with you. So these are some of the ways we're actively involved right now with customers in implementing these NIM AI agent blueprints.
It also definitely rings a bell for me in seeing this as something that can be more friendly to differently abled people, people who have disabilities or who have harder eyesight or hearing or anything where they're having a harder time with those typing chatbots that seem to be very linear. You have to type things in, or you have to press 1 for Spanish. You have to kind of go along through this whole list of directions before you can get to the point of finding out the question of what you want. So moving on from there, I also want to consider the timeline that you were saying changes up when we discuss these new blueprints. Thinking about that, does that mean the jumpstart that these blueprints can give developers allow for greener or less mature developers to be able to have an easier time creating their own AI applications? Or is it something where you really still need that expertise of a learned human who knows exactly how to work with one of these models?
It's a great question, and it's one we get quite a bit. I do think that initially you want your experienced, seasoned developers working on them. But what we have seen worldwide, let's put the NIM AI agents aside for a minute.
Sure.
Our same developer teams that were working on RAG models, right, retrieval augmented generation, which is an LLM pointed at trusted documents. Initially, we built an app for knowledge share, and then we've since replicated this for customers. They took a good 5 or 6 months, including some false starts, in order to really get their footing and make it trustworthy and a sound application that was scalable and highly usable. And it's now used by thousands of people internally at worldwide, as well as we built them for customers as well. The second one probably took like 5 months. But the applications we built internally, numbers 3 through 9 now, I think we're going on 9, and the ones we have built for in the customer see the same way, there's a flywheel effect in the learning. So my suggestion would be for your first AI agent blueprints, you really do want either seasoned developers, and we have them, or your own seasoned developers to use them. But then going forward, I think you'll find there's a flywheel effect in terms of using them faster and more often. And organizationally, you'll also see a flywheel effect in both adoption and with that, return on investment. And that's an important aspect that enterprises are asking all the time is like, how do I calculate the ROI? Where's the ROI? What is the ROI? And that's a very important question. And I think that what you see if you do this right is you build trust by using your seasoned people for the first couple of AI applications, including the NIM AI agent blueprints. But after that, and that trust becomes more widespread, you're going to find that they're easier and easier to build. Now, the vision, and I've heard this is public, the vision that NVIDIA has and Jensen has articulated that, within the next 4 to 5 years, most of us have our own sort of digital twin AI agents doing things on our behalf. So Katie, you can look forward to another twin of yourself, digital, doing a lot of the things that you do that maybe you want to do other things that are less menial to you in whatever that may mean to you, and delegate those to your own AI agent. I would welcome that. But that is something to consider because that has to do with how people evolve, how organizations use it, what is the ROI for enterprises is one. The other, what's the human impact? And we can't neglect that. That's an important part of it. And as we either reskill, upskill, however you want to call it, people to use AI, I look at the same way that, many people use Excel, for example. We all use Excel. We all use PowerPoints. But back in the day, in the 70s, let's say, what did you do if you were a financial analyst? You used a lot of whiteout is what you did. Right. And now we have Excel. So Excel was originally, this will make the life of financial analysts easier. But really what it's done is it's made us all into financial analysts. So think about AI in a similar framework. AI for example, contact centers and chatbots. Yes, we've mentioned that with James and our version, Ellie. But really what it does is it can make everybody into some version digitally of themselves to be consumed by their customers, colleagues, whatever it may mean. Now, I know it sounds like sort of science fiction-y and it's out there like a few years, but that truly is the vision that's been articulated by Jensen in terms of where they're going and what they want to do.
Now, let me be clear. I think the world, I won't subject them to another version of myself in addition to me. I think there can only be one, but I do see this very useful internally, having a digital twin there, Tim. AI elicits a lot of nervousness right now, thinking about what can we put into it as far as data and privacy and being really concerned on that level. So I do want to make sure I ask, how are data privacy and security taken into account with these new AI agent blueprints? Or are they? Is that up to us to figure out as we're using them?
That is up to us. That is up to the enterprise to figure out. They are a tool that can be used very successfully, or there's a tool that can be misused. So what you always want to weave into this is what we call responsible and secure AI. So you hear a lot about responsible AI. I think secure AI is equally important. So we call it responsible and secure AI. We weave that into every single one of the applications that we've developed for customers. And it's important from the very beginning. For example, if you're in a regulated industry, even though AI regulations are still at this stage ambiguous and vague, aside from Europe, where they've become much more concrete, but in the United States, they're still a bit ambiguous. Mm-hmm. So what that means is you are subject to regulation, but you just don't know what the regulations will be. You know you're in a regulated industry, you responded to regulators before. Think about it the way you would think about giving a human access to that information. Would it be appropriate? Would it be safe? Would it be auditable? And how would that impact how you respond to regulators? Should they ask for what is the intent of the model? What personally identifiable information did you use? If you're in the healthcare field, how did that comport with HIPAA regulations? All of those are things you need to think through, and those are significant. I think that the models themselves are a blank slate, a tool, very useful for us to use. How we use it and what we train it on, what we restrict it to, is our decision. Mm-hmm. And that's got to be made very thoughtfully with responsible AI, secure AI principles in place.
So I want to talk more about WWT in this context of you're working with NVIDIA. So talk to me about the added value if an enterprise is working with WWT to be able to get some of these blueprints in-house for their developers to work with. How do you add value to this already really cool concept of these blueprints? Where does WWT come in?
We're very proud and we're privileged to have been selected by NVIDIA the last 7 years in a row as their AI Enterprise Solutions Partner of the Year. And really what that means is we've got a great deal of familiarity and success with implementing NVIDIA solutions. Could be software, it could be, and most of the time it's like supercomputing environments and integrating that, building up things like federated learning networks, edge compute, inference, all of that is stuff that we're familiar with. Where do we add value? Well, NVIDIA really is partner forward. NVIDIA wants partners to be that connective tissue between how their hardware and software works and how the customer wants to use it. So that customization of it, that reliability, that ability to integrate it into different purposes, that each customer will be slightly different. Even if you're all in life sciences, the different life sciences companies will have slightly different needs for it. Even if you're in retail, you'll have slightly different needs. And this is where Worldwide comes in. So we're able to do that because we've got a lot of experience, a lot of people dedicated to it. We've got a couple thousand people now trained in NVIDIA AI solutions, including like 400, I like to call them ninjas, trained AI advisors who went through serious boot camps at NVIDIA's headquarters with NVIDIA teams in order to get special training and special skills. The other way that customers and NVIDIA connect at Worldwide is through our AI Proving Ground. So this is a $500 million investment by Worldwide in all of the latest, both NVIDIA technology and other adjacent OEM technologies that customers will need in order to show how the technology works, test and de-risk their investment before they make the investment in NVIDIA. That's unique. Only Worldwide has this. It's a working laboratory that's used by Fortune 200 customers for their own, determination of how they go forward. It's both labs, it's training with learning paths, and it is a way of them saying, hey, we're thinking about the following reference architectures and want to compare them. How do we do that without actually taking weeks, months to get that infrastructure into our own environment? And then what does testing look like? Well, Worldwide does thousands of those a year. And we've had this capability through our Advanced Technology Center for a good 15 years now. The AI Proving Ground is about a year old, and it will continue to grow with us with the latest NVIDIA technology and other technologies. This is how we partner with NVIDIA, is to help our customers with both the software, the customized outcomes that they need for their business, as well as a consideration of how is the best way to have this infrastructure work? How much should we buy? How does it scale? What's the power and cooling going to be? All those sort of important questions. Worldwide helps our customers with all of it.
Well, Tim, thank you so much for your time today. And just as we go out, I'd love to know if I'm an enterprise listening to this podcast or watching this video right now, what can I do to start working with WWT to get my hands on these blueprints?
You can go to our AI Proving Ground and poke around, and it's a great way to learn about it. You can reach your WWT contact or rep, or you can simply go to WWT and ask for either a guided tour of how we can help you. And our team of several thousand people will be happy to assist you in that journey.
Tim, thank you again for your time today, and I look forward to having this conversation again as digital twins in 18 to 24 months.
Thank you, Katie. Great to be with you.
Thanks so much to Tim for joining me today, and thank you for watching or listening. You can check out all episodes of Channel Insider Partner POV on channelinsider.com or watch on youtube.com/channelinsider_news and trends. Don't forget, you can listen to us as a podcast as well on your favorite podcast listening platform. Like, subscribe, and follow wherever you can to never miss an episode. Come connect with Channel Insider on LinkedIn or X @Channel Insider, or with me @Katie Bavoso. Once again, I'm your host, Katie Bavoso, and I'll see you next time.